Hey guys, Amit here, back with another video. And in today's video, we're going to be critiquing Tanish Dhiman's 1.80 2x2 average. So just before I start, he did pay the full price, which was $5, and chose for it to be uploaded on YouTube, so that's what I'm going to do. Now, before I start with his critique, I just want to play a quick video from one of my other customers, Ram the Cuber. So earlier this year, I sent him a test sample of my critique service for 5 solves that he sent me. And here's his response to that. So enjoy.
Before getting Amir's critique, I was stuck at 12 seconds on 3x3 since the last year. I was improving marginally by around 0.1 seconds every 3-4 months. However, I wanted to improve a lot more and eventually break that sub 12 barrier. After getting critiqued by Amir, I have jumped from 12.2 all the way to 11.7 in a matter of 1 month. Amir does an excellent job of critiquing your souls. He not only points out the flaws in your souls, but also gives you tips on how to improve them and how to improve even further. Not only that, but he'll coach you all the way until you're sub 10 on 3x3. And for literally $5, I'd say that's very well worth it. For example, an RS3M 2020 costs around 500 rupees, but his critique costs 400 rupees, and an RS3M 2020 won't improve your times by much, but Amir's critiques can get you all the way to sub 10, which is pretty insane in my opinion. I've seen other people charge $15 to $20, and I always felt that was a reasonable price. However, $5 all the way until you're sub 10, that basically blows everything out of the water. It's not even that Amir is less experienced than all these other people. He's almost podiumed at a Worlds, he has a continental record and multiple national records. In conclusion, if you're looking to get faster at 2x2 or 3x3, Amir's critiques are the way to go. It improved me more than I ever imagined.
So here we have the first solve. You guys just saw what Tanish did, and I'm just gonna review that once again. So what he essentially did is he did the white layer, he held it on this angle so that the bar would be on left, and did R, F, R, U, R prime. So U prime. So this gave him this layer with a very easy LEG1 that he instantly went into like this. However, what I would suggest before I get into my solution is that when you're around here, you should know that this piece won't be affected because you're just going to do double moves and in the back. So this piece is going to stay the same. So you know that since red is here and red needs to be here, it's going to be UAUF. So you don't need to pause at the end. So that's one way to predict this AUF. That's what I use. I don't use it right at the start because it wastes inspection time. But once you're around here in the alg, you just do this and then end with a U. Now what I personally would have done and what I recommend you do now onwards is also try this layer, which instead of doing 1 2 3 4 5, you just do 1 2 3. So that makes a much easier layer, and in this case when you do that layer, it gives you a very easy EG1 which you can cancel into as well. So essentially how I would have done this is I would have done L prime F and then cancelled into the EG1, which I'm sure you know. So that makes it really short solution. Now another thing that I noticed is that you could have done orange, even though it wouldn't have been too great for you. It's just another layer option which you could have done. So you could have done something like this and then rotated and done an EG1, which I'm sure you know. So overall, I would have suggested this solution, and you finger trick it using this finger first. So you do that and then you regrip and then do it like this. And if you don't know how to predict AUF for this, it's if the bar is here, you know it's going to be a U prime AUF because basically it needs to correspond to this piece or this piece. So yeah, so when you do the alg, you just do U prime AUF. And yeah, that's about it for the first scramble. Now on to the second scramble. Really happy with your solution for the second one overall. It was probably what I would have done, and essentially what you did is you did this layer and then around here you cancelled into a CLL and a UAUF. So you got a 1.1 on that and you had pretty decent TPS. However, I'm just going to teach you how to predict AUF for this. So the way I predict AUF is, I know that when I do this case, the orange here is going to go here. So as I start, I know that this is going to end up here, so it's going to be a UAUF. So remember that the piece that's here, which is opposite from this, which is the only piece that's facing up, is going to end up front. So once it ends up front, you know that you're going to have to align it. So it's going to be a UAUF. So I would really recommend learning AUF for full CLL and EG1. Even though it might be a bit hard, I really recommend it. And I'm just going to share a bunch of different tutorials in the description, which could help you out, as I know you don't know full EG2 as well. So anyways, no other complaints for that solve. You tackled the scramble pretty flawlessly, and I'm proud of what you did. So yeah, now on to the third one. Scramble was a 1.68, and what you did for this one was pretty nice. It was probably a pretty good solution for you, and yeah, so what you did is you did F R2 U prime R2, and then you went into a J perm, and then at the end a UAUF. So there's a bunch of things that you could have done for this one which would have made the solve a bit better. However, what you did was also great. So first, looking at your solution, you could have looked that it was a JPerm and cancelled moves, which would have saved you a bunch of time. So you know that when you do an F, this piece is going to go from here to here. And then when you do an R2, this piece is just going to get, this block is just going to get preserved in the back. So the way you finger trick it is you do F, R2, U prime, and then you know there's going to be a block here. So essentially how you do it is you do F, R2, U, and instead of doing another R2, you just do R prime and then cancel into the J perm like you would normally. Now there's a bunch of other layer solutions that you could have done here, and I'm just gonna put them out there, even though I mean they might not have the best case, but it's nice to always try it out. So one of the layers would be this blue layer. Now you might be wondering why I would do blue, but you could do a very good layer here. You are holding it in this angle and then doing R prime F and then inserting this piece like that, and then a very nice CLL. So yeah, while that would have been better, what you did was also nice. You tackled the scramble pretty well, and you could have also done something like on yellow, you could have done something like that, but that would be really bad, and I'm happy you did not end up doing that. Or you could have done white with EG1, but what you did was pretty nice. However, you could have finger tricked it much faster, and with your TPS, you could have easily got around a 1.3 or 1.4. So yeah, in general, just learn AUF and get into the habit of cancelling moves when you've looked a solution and you know it's a possibility. And otherwise, your solutions are pretty nice. So now let's go on to the fourth solve. Now for the fourth scramble, you took a lot of inspection time on this, as you evidently did not find anything good at the start. There was a bunch of bars which can be really frustrating sometimes, and I am sure about that, so it's alright. But what you did is you did yellow, you did R2, U prime R2, and then rotated like that, did U2, and then a EG1 with no AUF. So there's a bunch of different solutions that I would have done, or I can show you for this. So once again, you should use F moves once in a while for your layers, and instead of doing this, you could have just done blue. You could have done F, L prime U L to give you this bad case, or you could have done it from this angle and you could have done R U R prime, which would have given you this case, and that would have been much easier to finger trick when you were doing your solve. So in general, you need to look at more unconventional ways to solve a layer. You could have also done something like this, but that would be pretty bad and really hard to one look, so I would not recommend that. You could have done something like this, which I can show you how to one look. So essentially, you know that this piece is going to end up here at the end, so you just keep that in mind. And then you know this piece is going to end up here and this piece is going to stay where it is. And since this yeah, so that's why you know that you're going to get this case, which is just the LU to L1. So yeah, that's going to be pretty nice. But yeah, in general, you should look at better layer options and not just go for the most obvious one. I say this to a lot of people and I genuinely think it helps. So yeah, what I would have personally done and what I recommend you should have done is this solution, and using the same AUF prediction as I mentioned earlier. So yeah, that's all for the fourth solve. Was a 2.49 and there was a lot of lockups in it, so just gonna go over what you did. So essentially what you did is you did F L2 U L2 and then you did a U prime and then this algorithm which you locked up in a lot. So while that was a good solution, there was a far better solution, and that was just using the opposite inverse of the case which you did. And instead of doing a U and then doing a very unfriendly alg for finger tricks, you could have just done L moves using this alg. Now this alg is in my CLL video as well, in case you're wondering. And another solution that you could have done, which would have really been good for your solve, was on blue. And as I said earlier, take advantage of unconventional layers. So what you could have done here is you could have done L prime, F, and inserted this piece, which would have given you a much easier layer, which you could have just done a quick CLL for. Now this would have been much faster than what you did. And I'm just going to re-show you how to do it. So you would do, essentially, you would do this. So yeah, anyways, that's all for the critique. The last one was fairly obvious. What you did was fairly obvious. However, what I showed you is far more unconventional, and you need to do more solutions like that if you want to get faster and more consistent. Yeah, anyways, that's all for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed and learned from this as well. And if you want more info about my coaching service, click the link in the description. And yeah, the average of 100 on the overlooped cube will be out soon. And yeah, thank you, Tanish. Thank you guys for watching. Peace out.